I'm Eric Wolf, and my experience in business peer groups has changed my life, especially my membership in Vistage, one of the world's largest CEO advisory groups. I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner, and a Vistage speaker on the power of marketing. This podcast is dedicated to the people who make those experiences possible, the peer group chairs. Every episode, I interview a Vistage chair who has dedicated their time to helping entrepreneurs like me succeed. Welcome to Chairwaves, and for the first time ever, we have a Canadian chair with us today, Louis Samuel Jacques, and I
Good
think I
job
did
on
it
that.
right.
You
God,
did.
man, I didn't even have that much time to practice. We're going to call you LSJ for short, but LSJ comes to us from Quebec City, which actually is, from what I understand, a beautiful, beautiful part of our neighbor to the north, and great old city.
Absolutely. Yeah, I lived in some other places, and I still come back to it. I really think it's the best place to live on earth. I've been told that
Right.
Denver was in the competition to in the
Denver is a
yeah.
great place to live. I love it here, but yeah, spoken like a true Quebecois, as your loyalties. I like that. Good food in Quebec City, I'm told.
Good food, good service. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Well, I would love to. So first of all, much as Americans and Canadians disagree on things uh, like what is bacon and what is the value of a dollar. We also disagree on, so same concept, same same organization, but in Canada they still call it tech, whereas in America it's Vistage. But otherwise, basically the same gig.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What made you want to? And I want to get into your first career for in a bit, but what made you decide to become a tech chair?
I was a member first. I was a member for 2 years. There were only two, three groups in Quebec City, and I was in search for great speakers. So I met a guy, André Turcotte, and he told me, "Yeah, we got that. Come and see." And that's where I was in the same room as Ryan Walter, one of our great Tech Canada speakers, and this guy changed my life. So I said, "Okay, what do I have to do to get in this room regularly?" So on a regular basis. So that's pretty much what happened. I became a member, and after that, I understood the value. I felt the value of the coaching of the peer group. But at first, I was a member, and then at one point, Andre told me, "Well, you should become a chair." I'll never know. He'll never tell me, but I'll never know if he was tired of me hijacking his meetings, or if he wanted to grow the community in the city. But here I am with some five groups. Yeah,
But he said, "No more of this. Now you need to run one of these things." Basically,
don't run my meetings, run yours. But you have to
go
start a group. Yeah,
go
that's
go get
yeah,
your own. What
exactly.
was what was your business at the time?
I did management consulting, and before that, some consultancy in economics. I'm an agricultural economist from trade, and that's what I did. So yeah,
Very cool. My daughter actually is about to graduate with an economics degree, so I'm glad to say that no matter what, she has a potential future as a Vistage or tech chair. So that's all right. I'm cool with that.
yeah.
Um,
But like studying economics is a great way to see the world, to think in incentives, disincentives, opportunity cost. It's a lot. There are a lot of basic concepts that help us. I'd say analyze situations in a productive way.
when you graduated as an economist, what did you think your career was going to be like, and how did it end up different? We don't get a
uh,
lot of economists on this podcast, so I feel like I should ask it. It's a now there are plenty of Vistage chairs that have become Vistage chairs, or I imagine tech chairs,
yeah.
because they were members and they saw the value of it and all that. But economist is a that's not a very common profession.
Yeah, possibly. Uh, I think basically I wanted to have impact, and that's at first I was consulting as an economist. I was asked by clients to answer their questions, and I hated it because well, I'm exaggerating, but at one point I said, okay, why don't we? Why couldn't I ask the questions? I found my questions better, and or not better necessarily, but more useful. So that's why I did some years. I spent some time in economy, but really I went to strategy where and management consulting where I could ask the questions and the research questions, and I could speak to influential people. So I think it was about impact.
Hmm. What about and it's funny because we had before we pressed record, you and I had a discussion about running, and you actually explained the difference between running a half marathon and a marathon in economic terms, which was very, very interesting. I'm really curious. So you started out as an economist, and you became a management consultant, and now ultimately a chair.
Yeah.
How has economics influenced your thinking, and how has that background sort of found its way into the other things that you've done in your career?
In many, like it has in many ways. I was just explaining. I was saying I was running marathons, and you said, "Yeah, I want to get to a half marathon," and I said, "Yeah, over a half marathon, the marginal pain exceeds the marginal
Right.
gain, so don't do it." And
The point of diminishing returns. That's it.
exactly, so I really think like this all the time, and so as I said, better question asking. Impact, opportunity cost, incentives, disincentives. It's everywhere in our lives and decision making. So yeah, and I can question my members on things like that. Like, why do you think he behaves like that? What are the incentives for you? I don't ask it all the
Right.
time, but now we're in this conversation. I could ask it more. Like, what are your incentives? To do what you're doing. Yeah,
Right. Right. What do I get from it? What does it cost me?
yeah,
What at what point does the payoff start to diminish? Yeah, they're excellent
yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Um, what tell me about your work as a management consultant, and what that was like, and who you worked with. What was that part of your career like?
Yeah, what I liked is to have good conversations with all the C-suite and the owners or the CEOs, and as you know, it's all different stories, the stories that people tell, and putting it together and making one story out of that, and breaking it down into actionable items. That I loved it. So yeah, that's the energizing part that I found. And the other thing is the diversity of the clients, like in
Hmm.
size, in the industries. I could work in every kind of industries. Uh, yeah, these are the two things I love the most in this line of work.
And it sounds like that you started in agriculture. What were some of the industries that you got to consult in that you really enjoyed, that were outside of your other expertise? What was fun for
Um,
you?
Yeah, many things. I worked in all kinds of industries, from dairy to sheep production to beef, grain, and policy making as well. How
Hmm.
how how do we decide what kind of incentives do we want to offer our the producers, so that they put more trees on their land, so that the waters are cleaner. So yeah.
What was the process like of and it's really, really common on this podcast for people to say that starting their first Vistage group or tech group
Was easy,
was
right?
not only a Sisyphean task in terms of their work lives, but truly one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing that they'd ever done in any aspect of their life. What was that process like for you? Tell me about starting your first group and what that process was, and especially in a market like Quebec City, where you've already mentioned there really wasn't a lot of presence for this type of thing, and you were it's not like you're riding on these immense coattails of everybody knows what a tech group is, everyone wants to be
Hmm.
in one. What was it like
Yeah.
for
Uh, it's true. It was a well kept secret in Quebec, and at that time, especially. And it was hard, but it was mostly confusing, because I had been a member for 2 years. I saw the value, I felt the value, and in my mind, it was okay. I'll talk to 10 entrepreneurs, and they'll join. Easy. I have my group in a month, right? So
how'd that work out?
yeah, not exactly as intended. But the most confusing part is the first woman I talked to. She kind of grabbed the pen out of my hands, and she wanted in. So I said, okay, that's easy. I got it. But
Yeah.
it took me 6 months to have another to have another entrepreneur joining my this group. So it was confusing. It was hard, and but I felt it was the best thing in the world. I never I never thought that maybe I'm on the wrong path or something. I just kept working, changed the approach, and one thing that changed my life is well, meeting my coach. I changed the way I approached the market as a thing, but I also changed the way I approached the conversations. Uh, I told myself, okay, these people have yes men all around them. I cannot be that an additional yes man. So I got to challenge him. So I was kind of too polite at first in the first 6 months,
Mm.
and when I changed my approach in my conversations, and I started challenging them, the dynamics changed a lot, and that's when yeah, everything changed, and I launched my group a couple of months after that. So yeah.
And now you've got, and this is now 8 years later. Uh,
Yep, 8 years. I've been 10
so
years in this community.
so
Anyway,
10,
yeah,
10 years in the community, two as a member, eight as a chair,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
you've grown quite the ecosystem for yourself. So now you've got two CE groups, you've got two small business groups,
yeah,
and you've got a key group.
yeah.
What has been? I'm curious about what the journey was like over the 8 years from starting with this one group, and of course it's so hard, but now you've built this entire ecosystem for yourself. I would love to hear kind of how it came together for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I still every day I wake up, I'm grateful for the kind of days I'm blessed to be able to have. Um, One of the things that changed in my approach was I stopped aiming at the like I was launching I was building a small business group in a small, the technicalities of it is a group is formed when we get 6 members. So I said, okay, I was aiming at 6 and I was falling short all the time. So I said, okay, let's build a system that will get me to 20. So I changed completely the goal, and I said, okay, what is a system that would generate 20 members? So I kind of built that. It's nothing fancy. It's just a an approach to the market, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no big technology like a system. It's not a capital S, if I can say. So I just changed my goals, and I said, okay, this is it. I'm getting 20 members. So the ball kept rolling, and that's why I launched a second group, and then 2 months after, a third group, and then a year after that, I launched a fourth group, and then the fifth group came by not by accident, but in service to my members, because they want my fifth group was a key group, and
Mm-hmm.
some of my members wanted to have their key leaders in a group to accelerate their execution, and
Mm-hmm.
so that I did it in service to them. I was maintaining and growing my groups without having in mind of launching other groups. Yeah.
What do you think? Five, is that enough, or do you have goals? Is there going to be
Well,
how many
I
how
just
many is
started
enough?
how many is enough? That's a good point. I just started. I'm a year into it. I just became a Vistage speaker and a tech speaker.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what's new for me, and that's what growth looks
Welcome to
like.
the club.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, but 5 groups is enough. Yeah,
Okay. I mean, you're managing a lot of people at that point.
yeah, yeah,
That's a lot of discussions. It's a lot of one-to-ones. It's a
yeah.
lot of it's 5 meetings a month. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's actually
So,
4 because I have 2 small business groups and they meet every other month. So I
oh,
have
okay.
my group meeting weeks are 4 days actually. I
Okay.
do coaching on the Monday, but then comes the the group meetings.
How has and clearly, even just based on your work, the tech community in Quebec City is larger than it was when you started 8 years ago. How's the community as a whole evolved over this time in sort of a, I guess, an emerging market for this type of service?
Yeah, we're 4 chairs now in Quebec City. One of my members, he was my member for 5 years, and now he's building a group, and so we're having good times. I'm having good time helping him launch. So, so yeah, 4 chairs in Quebec City. In Montreal, I didn't keep count, but they must be. Montreal is a bigger city than Quebec City,
Yes,
and they might be 6, 7 chairs now in Montreal, and so in the whole province, I don't know the exact number, but we must be around 250 members.
that's
Uh,
wonderful.
yeah, it's great. It's fun to. At first, it was a well kept secret. We presented it as a secret. It's not a secret anymore. So the approach to the market changes. We do
Hmm.
bigger events for our Quebec members. In the last few years, we did the usually the big events are in Montreal, but
Hmm.
I'm proud to say that we've been doing it in Quebec City for the past few years, and there's no competition whatsoever between Quebec City and Montreal.
Sure. It,
I'm
except
sarcastic, by the way.
except that one is better, right?
Exactly.
Except that it is acknowledged that one is better by at least
Yeah.
four Vistage chairs or tech chairs. Um, no, that's very very cool. In terms of what's the biggest pivot that you had to make from a mindset perspective, there's a big difference from being a management consultant
Mhm.
to being a successful Vistage chair. What was the biggest thing that you had to learn or change about your approach in order to change hats in a really positive way?
Yeah. I was a question asker already. Many that come from the consulting background say they had to get rid of the advice giving and get into the question asking. I was both. I was good at both. I would say I wasn't perfect, but to me, asking questions, not
Came
necessarily
natural.
deeper, but good questions would already in my arsenal, if I can say.
Sure.
I think the what changed a lot is it's not about me. Consulting is it's about it's not only that, but there are egos involved, and it's a show in some way, and as a chair, you're not well, maybe as a consultant, maybe that was a problem to to think it was
Sure.
about me. But I don't
Right.
know. During my chairing practice, I just understood that it wasn't about me anymore. I'm not a problem solver. I might be more of a problem finder in some way, and, and it clicked over a conversation. I remember I had a member. She's still in my groups. I was in a conversation, in a coaching conversation with her, and I had been consulting with this organization in the past. So I was maybe in my old habits, or in my so conversation goes, and I knew her business. I knew her industry, the organization
Right.
for a long time. And I remember our conversations usually went from problem A to problem B to problem. So it was problem A, solution A, coming from me, obviously, because I was in this old mentality, and then problem B, solution B, problem C, solution. And we got.
Sure.
I think we got. I don't know, 17th, 18th problem. It was a very good conversation, from a consultant point of view. But then came, I don't know, problem number 18, and my face changed. I didn't know that, like, the complexity of it, and I don't know. I didn't have any answer for her at that time. At
Sure.
that point, so my face changed. So I don't know if we're at problem number 18. She had a new problem now. LSJ couldn't figure out what she could do. So I said, okay. And it was a crucial moment for me, because to me, I wasn't there to add problems to my members. I was there to solve them. But now I became the problem, having no answer to what she was facing. So I
So it was a
talked to
wake
my
up call.
coach. Yeah, it was a big, big, big wake up call. So that's when I just decided it's not about me anymore. It's not about me finding solutions. Obviously, I'm not you know what I was to say. I'm not letting my members alone with their problem, but my perspective, the perspective I'm there to bring, is something different than just staying in the solution finding dimension with my members. And I'm not saying I never bring solutions to our conversations. What I'm saying is it's not a last resort, but it's a secondary effort to jump in
You've
the
realized that
conversation.
it's
And
not
yeah,
your responsibility the way that it is when you're a consultant. It's
exactly.
totally natural, and I think you put that really, really well.
Thank you.
Um, how do you know, from your perspective, when you're talking to somebody, you're at coffee, you're having your Tim Hortons or whatever it is, and you're
Hmm.
sitting across the table from a prospective member. What is it that tells you that that member is right for your group, that's going to be a fit for one of your groups, that they're ready? What are the things that happens that what are the things that happen at those meetings that say, yes, this is somebody that we need to bring in?
It's very simple. Well, obviously the basic question is this person in competition with one of my members for the group I'm seeing this person in. Outside of that, it's do this does this person has the potential to bring value, and do they have the potential to get value out of their membership? I'm not there to put people in chairs. I'm there to put together a group that brings and takes value out of the process. And last thing is very personal. Is it's I don't. Maybe at one point I felt I needed new members. I'm not there anymore. So the
Mhm.
last part of the process is, do I want to have this person in front of me like 2-3 times a month? And do I feel this person wants to be in front of me a couple of times a month? So that's a big thing, because I don't need new members. I want those who I want to hang out with, and who can bring value to the group. Yeah.
I'm curious, as a chair now, and having been a chair for 8 years, I imagine that the relationship isn't one way. You obviously are giving a lot of yourself to your members, but they're
Mhm.
also giving something to you. What um, what would you say is the best lesson that one of your members has taught you in your 8 years of chairing?
As a matter of fact, every year, you're totally true in saying that they bring value to me too. And every year at their birthday, I sent them a handwritten card to. I take a moment just to think about what this person brings in my life, and I thank them for that. So I'm very specific, and it's a great moment. It's such a great moment, taking some time over the weekend, or taking an evening to send these cards. It's great. And I think I'll go back to the story I mentioned about, before. It's just it's not about me. It's about them. If I'm really
Mhm.
there for them individually, what's the best mindset? What's the best behavior? What do they need? And being there for them and not for me anymore. It's the biggest lesson I got in the past few years.
Well, Luis Samuel, it has been lovely chatting with you. Really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being a guest. If folks have questions about your groups, if they have, if they want to know which kind of bacon is the correct bacon or where to find the best poutine, um, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn every day. It's really LinkedIn. Yeah, Louis Samuel Jacques. They can look in. I'm sure
I
in the show
imagine there
notes or
aren't a lot of
something. Yeah,
you. Yeah, great.
exactly. There aren't two of us. I'm the only one.
Very
Never
good.
looked up, but I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Thanks so much for being a great guest. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for what you're doing. We're a great community. Uh, I'm always on my podcast list, and every time I see your face and or the face of one of your guests in my podcast list, I'm really happy, because it helps us staying connected all year long as a community. And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Chairwaves. You can subscribe to our feed using Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your platform of choice. You can also visit chairwaves.com for more information. Chairwaves is hosted and produced by me, Eric Wolf, and to connect with me, you can visit my website at ewolf.live. That's EWOLF.live. And a disclaimer, while I love Vistage and CEO peer groups, this podcast is not owned by or affiliated with Vistage or any other peer organization. Thanks for listening.